Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at understanding fractions, or the introduction to our fractions unit. So a few things you're going to be learning in this lesson is firstly what a numerator is, what the denominator is, and then you're going to be understanding the three different types of fractions. So proper fraction, improper fraction, and a mixed number. So let's just get started here with an example of a fraction. Okay, so what we need to make sure we understand is that fractions represent parts of a whole. Okay, so we're not dealing necessarily with whole numbers, we're working out parts of a whole. And the way that we break that fraction down is by separating it into a numerator and a denominator. So these parts here. So the top number is what we call the numerator. Okay. Therefore, the bottom number is our denominator. Now, a way that I like to think of that is if you get confused between the two, is that think for denominator, think D for down. Okay, so that's the number that's at the bottom of the fraction. So the denominator represents how many parts within a whole. Okay, so how many parts within a whole. So if we use an example here of a pizza, okay, it's a beautiful pizza there, delicious, probably pineapple on top of it, but that's fine. So the denominator tells us there are 4 parts to this whole, and the numerator tells us how many parts of that whole are we working with. So in this case, there's been 3 that have been eaten. Okay, so the numerator, and then we have the denominator. So 3 parts of the whole 4 have been eaten, which gives us this fraction 3 over 4. So make sure you know what those 2 are. Now the 3 different types of fractions, as we've got here, is proper fraction, an improper fraction, and a mixed number. So a proper fraction is the most common one, and this is an example of a proper fraction here. A proper fraction is any number or fraction where the numerator is less than the denominator. Okay, so here 3 parts out of the 4, that's a proper fraction. I could write 5 over 6, that's a proper fraction. I could write 4 over 273, that's a proper fraction. Okay, so any number where the numerator is lower than the denominator is a proper fraction. Therefore, an improper fraction is obviously going to be the opposite to that. Okay, so it's where the parts are higher than the actual parts of a whole. So for example, we might do some improper fractions here. I'm going to say 5 over 4. Okay, I might say 6 over 2. I might say 7 over 1. Okay, these are examples of improper fractions because the numerator is higher than the denominator. So if we had just pizza example, so we're going to use 5, 4. What if we ate 5 parts? Okay, if we ate 5 parts of the pizza, you can see that we've eaten a whole, and then we've also got a part there as well. So that's why that's called an improper fraction. Now, improper fractions also relate to mixed numbers. Okay, and the way that we represent mixed numbers is by including whole numbers and fractions. So that's what a mixed number is. So for this example, I've eaten a whole pizza, which is 1 whole, and then I've got 1 part out of 4. Okay, so mixed numbers are where there's a whole number and there's also a part or a fraction. So here you might do 2 wholes and 1/3 is a mixed number. You might go 233 with 1 over 49. Okay, so that's an example of a mixed number. So as we get through this unit, we're going to be looking at comparing fractions, multiplying fractions, dividing fractions, and getting a bit more detail in regards to this. But this is basically your understanding of fractions. So make sure you know these things here, and we're going to be able to move on from there. Thanks, guys.